Impossible. We got planes dropping out of the sky left and right. Why in the hell would we believe that they could put a man, that Americans could put a man on the moon? That is the biggest farce you niggas ever told me. And I can't believe that shit is in the history books. Y'all, if y'all have children, do they still put that nonsense in history books? Oh, my life, went off like a rocket. I was riding high on the album, but not just on the album. High on life, high on coke, high on everything. I had a Winnebago that I took around town, and one day I saw a pretty girl with long black hair walking down Ocean Avenue in San Francisco. She was dressed like a student. I figured she was coming from City College. I followed her up the street for a little while and then pulled over so that we could have a conversation. She was a student, like I thought, but not a college student. High school. She was 18 years old, Miss Debbie King. I liked her and said so. She knew who I was, but didn't say so right away. I took Debbie for seafood on Polk Street. We didn't take the camper that night. I drove one of the other cars, the Cord. It had 2 doors, but only one seat, a driver's seat, and anyone else riding had to sit on the big pillow. We had a night on the town, and I had her home by midnight, Cinderella curfew. Debbie and I saw each other all the time after that. We didn't take it too far. We took it pretty slow. Over the summer of 1969, we went east for a bunch of performances. We played for Mount Morris Park in late June for the Harlem Cultural Festival. The festival was running all summer, 6 weekends, and we headlined the first one, which also included the Fifth Dimension and the Edwin Hawkins Singers. The New York City Police wouldn't work security for the show, so the Black Panthers filled in. Black Panthers, black audiences wasn't our usual situation. Most of the time, we were playing for crowds that were mixed in every way except age. But it was a situation I liked. The crowd seemed to agree. From there, we went up to Newport, Rhode Island for the Jazz Festival, which wasn't only jazz anymore. Jeff Beck was there on Friday and James Brown on Sunday. We played on Saturday. Then it was on to more festivals and shows. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Detroit, St. Louis, Chicago, Montreal. We had a weekend of shows at the Apollo Theater in New York with Red Fox opening. The moon landing was the biggest thing to happen that summer for a little while. God damn. Americans, we so stupid. We are so stupid. Why do we let these niggas goop us into thinking that they actually put a man on the moon? And the moon's supposed to be so goddamn hot or so goddamn cold, nothing could survive on the moon. And we literally, because, we didn't have the internet to tell us otherwise, it's 2025. And you niggas still ain't came up with a cure for cancer. But in 1969, you niggas put a man on the moon? It's impossible. Impossible. We got planes dropping out of the sky left and right because of mechanics. Why in the hell would we believe that they could put a man, that Americans could put a man on the moon? That is the biggest farce you niggas ever told me. And I can't believe that shit is in the history books. Y'all, if y'all have children, do they still put that nonsense in history books? About a month later, there was a 3-day festival in upstate New York. The organizers were calling it an Aquarian opposition, and then they were calling it Woodstock. and after the first town where they wanted to hold it. That name stuck even when it bounced from place to place, even when it ended up more than an hour away on a farm in the town of Bethel. In July, we got added to the acts. The first day was scheduled to be mostly folk acts. Richie Havens opening, Joan Baez closing, Tim Hardin and Arlo Guthrie, and others in between. The second and third day shifted over to rock, blues, and more. We were the more, playing late Saturday or early Sunday, depending on how you decided to look at it. Santana was also playing, and Janis Joplin and Creedence Clearwater Revival and Jefferson Airplane. Though I didn't spend time with any of them beforehand, I came up from the city. They sent an Army helicopter to get me, or at least an Army-styled helicopter. As I flew in, I couldn't see the whole crowd, but you could see enough people dotting the landscape that it was hard to believe that there were even more. God damn, I said to myself, what the F is this? So many people, an ocean of them without any land for miles. When something is that big a deal, be sure you're ready, and I doubt that you will be. That was still my thought on stage. Did I feel a moment as pressure? I knew we had to live up to it, not to mention rise to the level of the other artists. Janis Joplin was on before us, and then there was a break, and it was like the sky split open with rain. We went on around 3:30 in the morning and opened with M. Lady, Freddie playing his licks, Larry holding down the bottom and then some, a big vocal breakdown at the end, and then the band storming back in to finish it while the weather did the same all around us. There was problems, but they pushed through. I sang, I Want to Take You Higher, and they sang back the last word, higher. All of them. Damn. We kept it going. I kept it going. Just say higher and throw the peace sign up. It'll do you no harm. Still again, some people feel that they shouldn't because there are situations where you need approval to get in or something that could do you some good. Want to Take You Higher went out. Higher came back. After Woodstock, everything glowed. The band's price went up, which meant that we didn't have to limit ourselves to the kinds of gigs we were playing before. No more nightclubs if we didn't want. We all got a boost. Everyone bought cars and houses, but I was singled out. Front man, songwriter, rock performer. If there was a picture next to an article about us, more and more often it was a picture about me. Debbie and I were still a going concern, but that didn't mean I wasn't also singing other girls. One of them, Stephanie Swanigan, came to me when David Kapralik hired her to work with the band. She was a beauty queen. I mean, really a beauty queen. She was Miss Bronze and Miss Seal Beach. Stephanie was my secretary. She had a professionalism to her. She got to setting the office in order. By that point, more people had joined the inner circle. Along with the glowing, there was growing. Let me pause right here. So anyway, when I was in college, I had a teacher. I forget that lady's name because she failed me the first time. And what was funny was, although she failed me, I did not have a concern with her. I didn't go anywhere else to figure out, and I know you're like, Nay, why are we talking about your English teacher? Hold tight, okay? I didn't go anywhere else to learn. I knew that if I didn't get it, it was my fault. I liked the way the woman taught. It was just my fault that I didn't apply myself in order to learn from her. So when I got myself together and I took Lit 1 from her again, she taught me how to read. Not just read, but to comprehend and understand. I am so happy that that woman took me seriously the next time around, because I lit 1 from her, failed it, came back, took lit 1 and 2 from her again, and got A's and B's. And I think 1B, 1A from her. Because I knew she had something that I needed. It was just I was fucking around with her. And what she taught me was how to read. I wish I knew that lady name. All I knew was that her heels were so goddamn crackly. Now, as an adult, I'm like, ooh, that was diabetes. And he said as the band was glowing, the band was growing. Meaning, as the band got bigger and more revenue started coming in, more people started coming around. You know what she taught me? It was Shakespeare. She taught me how to read Shakespeare. And not anybody can read. Not everybody can read and understand Shakespeare. You got to be a certain kind of person to understand that shit, okay? And I would say that Sly writes on a level of Shakespeare. By that point, more people had joined the inner circle. Along with the glowing, there was growing. I had met a guy named JR who was working at Madison Square Garden. He was aboard for help and security. JR knew some guys, but was a lawyer too. He had a big laugh. Sly, he'd say, ha ha ha. Or sometimes Freddie, ha ha ha. Now, if I didn't mention before, or if you all haven't put it together, we know Freddie is Sly's brother. If we were in New York, he might have us over to his mother's house for a big spaghetti dinner, and he'd leave in the middle with the rest of us still there to take care of business. Whatever needed done in any area, that's what Junior did. Some things were spoken about and some were not. He carried a .32 caliber revolver with him, a shining silver Smith & Wesson. He handled that as well as he handled everything else, which was perfect. Child, let me tell you this story. Come to find out that Sly had situations with Jim Brown. Yes, Jim Brown, the football player that thought he was that nigga. Well, he actually was, but he liked to present himself as the biggest and the baddest. Okay, that's part of the reason why he ended up doing blaxploitation movies where he was the hero of the show. So, when Sly was out of town, Jim Brown would come to the offices of Sly Stone. Sly would have his girls there. He would have Debbie there and his new girl that was like the secretary. Her name was Stephanie, the beauty queen. Jim Brown would come through and be like, fuck that nigga. Fuck his ass. Come get on this motorcycle with me, baby. I got you. I got you. Come on. Stop playing in here. He can't take care of you. I can take care of you, baby. Over there pitching woo to Sly Stone's women. Sly was unhappy about that. The fuck this football playing thick neck bastard trying to get my women. Then I was in LA for a few days and I saw him out there revving in the dark on his motorcycle. We had a talk. I thought I had been clear, but it was clear to me that he didn't care what I thought. JR came out of the apartment on my behalf. He told Jim Brown in his own special way to go fuck himself. Whatever you're doing, don't, was one of the things he said. Jim Brown was a tough mother effer. I don't know if he made a habit of letting other people tell him what to do, but he caught the habit that night. He nodded. Okay, he said. He started his bike and I drove off. After a few months at that apartment, I moved into a house near where Coldwater Canyon comes off Mulholland. It used to be Isaac Hayes' place, but after his movement, it was mine. Anyway, so you know when he bought the house, he had to buy a bunch of guns because he said it'd be a bunch of niggas at his house. There were lots of people coming in and out of the houses. Not all of them were bringing flowers. Now he's talking about his obsession with buying guns. That place was a party. At first, my older sister Loretta came down to help me manage the house and keep things in order. But they got out of order and unmanageable pretty quick after that. Drugs were accelerating by that point. I didn't even have to buy them. People gave me powder or pills because I was famous, or they wanted my approval, or they were trying to establish a relationship on that basis. It would have been rude to refuse. I had a violin case filled with booger sugar that I would carry around town with me. We found a doctor to sell me pills. Bubba had been in jail. When he got out, he came down to LA along with a friend of his named JB. They moved in at Coldwater to keep the house running smoothly. Bubba had always been interested in Rose. Don't forget, Rose and Vet are his sisters. Bubba had always been interested in Rose, and he got interested again, even though she was still with Larry. That was fine with me. It wasn't because of the way that Larry was acting, making a spotlight around himself. Some people took exception to it. I saw it, but it didn't bother me. I just liked how Bubba and Rose got on with each other, and liked it more the closer they got. Okay. He's just saying that he thinks that Rose was better suited for Bubba and not Larry. Everyone's heart was beating. One of the other arrivals from San Francisco was Eddie Chin, real last name Elliott. But he used to tell girls he was part Chinese because some of them were, and he wanted to make a good impression. One of the girls he told was Vet, who wasn't, but he made a good impression on her anyway. That was the era of the knit hat. Women around the band made them constantly. It was an occupation of the time, especially if you were a girlfriend whose boyfriend was a musician. Stephanie made mine. It was also the time that PCP entered the picture. Angel dust in the city of angels. You niggas is crazy. I'm not smoking. Or I pass.
No, how you do.